Good evening, everybody. We're in the studio today with Mark Andrew Boughton, not Broughton.
Not Broughton.
Mark Andrew Boughton. I misspoke a few minutes ago, and I apologize about that.
That's all right.
And I don't know why, and maybe it's just one of those words that when I read it, I just assume it is what it is. You know? I don't know.
I get that a lot.
Yeah?
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're in the studio with Boudoir Photographer Mark Andrew Boughton. We've known each other for a while, more kind of acquaintances.
Facebook friends.
Facebook friends. Yeah. You had a lens at the marketplace when I don't know if you don't still live on Ladies Island, do you?
I do, yeah.
Do you? So
yeah.
same house?
Yep.
Okay. So you had a lens for sale, and I went over there and looked at it when your studio was in the house.
Whoa.
I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, so whenever I looked at it, and that kind of, and for me, is what put you on my radar. And then we've been Facebook friends and Instagram friends, and your wife runs all the marathons, so occasionally we'll see each other there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And then at the events, if you're playing something, if you're a phenomenal musician as well.
Thank
so
you.
if I see you playing, then, I'm shooting that event or whatever. So welcome.
Thank you.
So this is After Hours. So we've got, this show isn't sponsored by anybody. The last one was.
Why not? It should be.
It should be. So shout out to anybody that wants to sponsor.
Come on, Slow Country Lager. Man, that's so funny. Slow Country. Here's the thing about the Slow Country. We're gonna get controversial right away. Is that okay? All right. Here's the thing about the Slow Country. I'm looking at this camera.
This one here is.
All right. So I moved here over 8 years ago, 8 and some change.
Okay.
When I first moved here, I heard about the Slow Country thing, right? And I agreed with it then. However, 8 years ago, what has happened to the whole market in the United States?
Yeah.
And everything is so much more expensive, right?
Yes.
Houses, everything. So if time is money and houses have tripled in pricing,
yes.
you would think people would be a little bit faster with anything around here.
No.
It's just the houses that have gotten faster. More expensive.
Yes. Because the people moving, everybody's... And I don't know, 'cause obviously the off season, it's still equally as bad from a traffic standpoint, and it's the worst situation in the world. I can't stand driving 20 minutes for 5 miles from here to wherever. Right. We just got back from LA, and it was like the same to go the same distance on the 405.
Really?
Dude, it's frustrating. It's infuriating. So let's start at the beginning for you. So you're ex-military.
That's right. Yep.
What branch?
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So let's start. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I spent 8.5 years as a guitar player in the Marine Corps band, and I've been to every city from Miami to Niagara Falls and everywhere in between, every major city on the East Coast at least.
Okay.
I've played for a lot of people all over the place, and wound up here at Paris Island.
Okay.
And then, long story short, got out, and then I think that we were kind of looking at joining the Army band at one point, and so I went down to MEPS and found out that for some reason I developed a heart murmur out of nowhere, and they're like, "Sorry, you can't join the Army anymore." Wow. And I'm like, "Okay, so now what?" You know? And it's so funny because like when you're getting out of the military, you go through all these different classes, and they're like, here are your jobs that you can do, all of this military training that you have.
Right.
There's so many different things that you can do with that training. Here are your options. Well, I'm a guitar player, so my options were busk down on the boardwalk, basically. So there was no options. So I was like, okay, that's so funny. What are we doing? Luckily, I had being a guitar player in the Marine Corps band. Yeah. You don't really march a guitar. You've never seen a guitar player out there marching. Yeah. So when I wasn't marching, they gave me a camera to do like social media stuff.
Ah, I got it.
That's where everything kind of started. And so I picked up a camera for the Marine Corps band probably a little over 10 years ago, at least. Yeah, at least now, if not longer. And that's just kind of how it started, taking pictures of the band at concerts, and then of course during parades, and then I got some lights, and my wife actually was like my first portrait. Like, hey, I got some lights. You want to come? For sure. Yeah, it was kind of like me getting my foot through the door with my wife. You know what I mean? And then next thing you know, we're doing weddings and portraits and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, the military is what originally brought me here.
I got it. So let's talk about the boudoir portion of that. What led to that niche of photography. It's probably, I mean, I can see it from two different ways. Weddings are hectic. Yeah. It's stressful for both the wedding party, the bride and groom, and yourself, because it's an important day. You miss a shot, it's kind of a big deal. So it's probably a better working environment for you from the boudoir standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun. Okay. It's so much easier going, you know. I mean, just from so many different perspectives. From the stress level of being a wedding photographer is I don't think enough wedding photographers actually are stressed out enough about shooting weddings. Oh. Because like there's so much that can go wrong.
Yeah, so it's like, how are they not stressed?
How are they not stressed? Yeah. I mean, there's way too much color in people's hair for wedding photographers. Yeah. Like it's crazy. Yeah. And I guarantee you that there's photographers out there that have never had, I mean, there's been a lot of weddings that I shot with only one memory card in my body, right? Yeah. And those are moments you cannot get back, right? Yeah. But not to mention, you got, Bridezilla's mother of the bride, father of the bride, drunk Uncle Tom, someone's boyfriend who's hitting on the bride. Like, it's just crazy. Yeah. And that actually kind of attracted me to the wedding photography, the business of it, just because it's wild, it's crazy. I'm a Marine, and I'm a Marine musician, so once we get done with the gig, things get wild and crazy, right? But for weddings, there's this it's a big responsibility, and I think that I started to quickly realize that that and these Marine Corps knees are not what they used to be too. So
I can see that. I wasn't even thinking from that, and I know we're going to talk about your turning 33 this year, Project 33. We'll touch on that, but I didn't even think about that standpoint of it from your knees or your joints from being in the military for so long. But that does make a lot of sense because you're on your feet. I mean, even though you're the main guy at the wedding, other than the bride and groom, you're an important part of that ceremony. You don't get looked upon as that way. It's still almost in certain areas that I've experienced from a wedding videographer is that you're still second. You're a step above the help, if you will. And maybe it's just the weddings that I'm shooting.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
I think videographers are in that position. Yeah. My experience as a wedding photographer, I've played the role of wedding planner and organizer so many times. Now, I mean, I wasn't doing, $10,000 plus weddings,
which I don't.
And, I think once you get into there, then those clients are able to afford a wedding planner, which thank God, because those are big weddings. But, for me, there's been so many times where I'm like, okay, hey, we got to be at the ceremony at such a time. We have 45 minutes for, and I'm like, you got to go get this. Where are the bouquets? And so you're kind of like running the show.
Control. Yeah, because you've done it more often than they've done it, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you know more of the schedule and what needs to happen. For me, as a videographer, I usually ride the coattails of the photographer. I just kind of shadow them, stay behind them, match the shots, and then, they ask. I shoot really just with one guy, Tony Bigley. So I shoot with Tony. We've got a wedding this Saturday and another one coming up. So he's kind of been my into the wedding game. Not that I want to do it or I do it a lot, but if he asks or he has a party that needs it, then I'm kind of his first go-to.
Cool.
We all love money.
Right.
So, most of the stuff I do, most of the shit I do is because I need money.
Sure.
Just boils down to it. I don't have the luxury of charging clients thousands of dollars to do less. I got to do more to make up. So it's a whole nother podcast. So the boudoir photography, how was that with the wife was on board with that initially because of the sensitivity of it and the vulnerability of it for your clients. Did it start with her being in the room with you, or how was that trust, or how was that conversation with her initially?
Yeah. So it kind of went down. I have a buddy who is also prior Marine Corps, and he was a photographer as well, and he started a marketing agency for photographers, and he reached out to me. He's like, hey, I know that you're doing weddings, and he and I had done some work together as far as like he was doing some marketing for me, and he reached out to me, and he's like, hey, I think you should check out boudoir photography. It's getting really big, and this was 5-6 years ago. Yeah. It's like, it's getting really big. I think that you can, do really well with this, especially if you're including your wife. You're having like a husband-wife duo. You should really check this out. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I was like,
yeah.
you know, and beforehand, I knew very little about the genre, and I knew very little about what boudoir photographers do and everything. So I was starting to like do some research on it, and I had a friend of mine who was up in Jacksonville, Alexandria Kenyon, who's a phenomenal photographer, and she does a lot of different stuff now. And I was following her for a while, and her whole brand and her message was this empowerment of helping women see themselves as beautiful, as worthy, and just help them get past this idea of their body is imperfect, so they don't deserve XYZ.
Fuck society for putting that out there for all these women for all these years, and even men for the most part.
Yeah.
But more so for the women, the way the Barbie doll was designed and the way she looks and all this other, you know what I mean? It's so, as a father of a daughter, and you as well, no, it's so aggravating to see that, and that's the perception or the level that they have to look or hit, and that's just so frustrating. Sorry.
No, yeah, I agree, man. And I think that it's not even just society. I think that it's, I've heard terrible things from some of my clients of what their dads and what their brothers say to them, you know, and I think that what their moms say to them too. And I think that it's pretty crazy, some of the stories that you hear from your clients. You know, one of the things that I love about what I do is that the first thing that my clients do when they step through the door is we start hair and makeup. And during that hair and makeup time is about 90 minutes. Me and my makeup artist are just getting to know our client. We're talking about, you know, what has them interested in a photo shoot, you know, why they you know, are booking, and a lot of that conversation is before the photo shoot too. But, you know, during that time, it's more of, I don't want to say a therapy session, but it's almost a therapy session to where
I can see that.
We're talking so much about the why and what they want to see themselves. And then after 90 minutes of, you know, kind of getting that stuff out, you know, then we show them the big reveal of the makeover, and it's just kind of like, you know, holy shit, this is me. I can do this. I look really good, right. You know, and all these emotions come up. So, you know, being a part of that self-love journey has been what I have tried to build my brand and my business around, because yes, the elephant in the room is there are guys out there with cameras who use their cameras to get women in a room. And that is, it's disgusting, of course. But, you know, like I said, my brand is all about, you know, I look at so many of my clients as, because a lot of my clients are older than me. A lot of them are around my mom's age. And, you know, I look at how my mom has talked about herself sometimes, you know, and I hear that, and, you know, just being able to help women just kind of get over that hump of feeling that way about themselves, even if it's just for a 3-hour shoot.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times I've heard from so many of my clients come back years later saying, actually, I had a client that I met up in St. Louis or last month with, and she told me, she's like, you changed my life and how I view myself in that shoot. And, you know, that was like my first year of doing it. And so I think that a lot of like the boudoir photography too is, of course, you have to be a good photographer. Your stuff has to be good, but at the same time too, so much of it is just being that friend to this person and that encouraging friend and helping them feel and look and view themselves as beautiful. And so when I was talking to my wife about, hey, I want to do this thing, going back to your question, when I was telling her about it, you know, the first initial thought was like, what are you doing? You know? Yeah,
where's this going?
Right. So then I showed her Alexandria Kenyon's work and her brand and everything. She's a woman, so she struggles with a lot of this too. She's like, okay, I can see this. And so we kind of built the brand around that, and so
that's good.
But it's been great. We've done this for 5.5 years now, full time. This is the only thing that we do, and it's been really good so far.
It's fun. I mean, because, you know, obviously I'm on the other side watching your journey and having the fact that I've met you at your house when you're doing your house boudoir photos there. So, and I can't even imagine the feeling you must feel seeing these women get empowered, and then whenever you do the reveal, how they feel. Because I know you shared one video from TikTok where the gentleman was doing all these elderly ladies' hair. So he took their hair and then and they were just emotional. Do you remember that video?
Oh yeah, just the other day. Yeah,
recently. Yeah, because I'd seen it probably a week or two ago, and you know, I watch TikTok and I cry all the damn time, dude. It's so much emotions on this app. It is insane to me. But anyway, that one there, I brought tears to my eyes just seeing these women react that way, and that guy's vision with their hair, night and day with some of these women, and then see them light up, and then see them have their reaction that way. It's amazing to me how many people have low self-esteem, and they don't need to be. They're hard on themselves, or their parents or dad or somebody to talk down to them, and kind of just stow that into them, and it's frustrating to know that those many people. And I wish I could help the way you do, but I enjoy watching you help those people that way.
Well, thank you.
So,
yeah. I think it's something that you do. You do. I think that just being a photographer and a videographer and helping businesses with that, there's always a disconnection between what a business offers and that client. Right. And I think what your job and what you do with your all of the marketing and the digital stuff in the digital space is kind of like that bridge between the two. Right. And in turn, your clients, who are these business owners, when they get clients and they say, "Hey, I saw that video," or whatever it is, I mean, it's the same game, just with a different label.
I get that. And I obviously, as the owner, I don't see it that way. I do see it that way, but at the same time, I don't see that. I just want to make sure they're happy.
Sure, yeah.
That's my end goal. I don't want to disappoint anybody, so I try to treat every customer as if they're the only customer I have, which is kind of tough at some point. Yeah. So right now I've got 28 emails that need to get addressed, that need to respond to, because it's a variation of different things, of questions or setting up an appointment or all this other stuff. So, but I do love what I do, especially when I do love what I do, especially when they give me feedback. I don't request feedback. I don't solicit it per se, because I don't ask for Google reviews or anything like that. So when it's unsolicited, it's even better to when they give me something positive. Yeah. We did something with Monkey's Uncle probably last summer where it was a trend that was running on TikTok, where it was the classic "Have a great day, thanks you too."
I saw that.
Yeah, whatever that was when I was with Joe, and he, I got recognized. We were at Fat Patty's, and so I was like, "Oh, you're that video from Monkey's Uncle," and I was like, yeah, that's the one thing. It's not the beard that recognized you. But
am I going to be recognized for doo-doo? Is that what's happening right now?
Well, let's make that a thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, you're turning 33 this year. What month is your birthday?
May.
Yeah, so this month. This is your birthday month.
Yep.
Project 33 just launched. You shot your first
two today.
Yeah. So explain Project 33, what that means to you, and how that began. Milestone.
Yeah. So May 8th, turning 33 for the first time, and I feel like 33 has been, there's a lot of personal reasons why this year means a lot to me. And I've never really been interested in celebrating my birthday. For me, it's always just been another day. Yep. In fact, I got 2 shoots on my birthday this year, and so I just wanted to do something that I can look back and not make this just a regular birthday. Yeah. And so, what better way than to work harder than I've ever worked in a month before? So,
why not, right?
Name of the game for any entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So for Project 33, the goal for this is to shoot 33 photo shoots in May. Okay. Now, just to put things into perspective, I usually shoot anywhere between 6 to 10. So
why not triple your work?
So why not just triple the work? And I will say that for this project too, it's not going to be like a standard boudoir set. If you look at my work is very timeless, romantic, very soft, almost kind of like ethereal a little bit. And we're not doing that. We're doing bold, vibrant, saturated colors, glitter, glamour, sparkles, like all of that kind of stuff. So it's completely different. It's completely out my comfort zone. It's not like anything that I've ever done before, and it's been fun.
Yeah, so far.
So far.
And what are you booked up now? Because I noticed last time I'd seen your story, you're 1 or 2 bookings out, or how many's left in the row?
So we had a couple people cancel. We have 6 left.
6 open spots.
Yeah, 6. And so unfortunately, we can only do Monday through Friday. And so with Sundays are like family days.
Yeah.
Like those are family days. Like I've over the last 5+ years, I've realized, and I've been doing this full time for 7 years now, but boudoir strictly 5 years. Okay. And over the last 7 years, I've realized that you need one day a week to spend time with your family and play video games or to not answer phone calls or whatever. And I mean, I still work on Sundays. I'm still answering some texts and stuff like that. But so, and then Saturdays too. My makeup artist Gigi is working every Saturday for weddings, and so Monday through Friday we're pretty limited to that. So I think we have 2 or 3 days. Honestly, we're probably gonna have to move into June a little bit to get like those last scragglers. Right. But right now we have 6 more spots available, and like I said, the idea of the whole project is to do something a little bit different, something that you haven't seen from my work before, but also something that is going to be super rememberable. And I find like photographers will kind of get into the same thing over and over and over again. Like if you look at someone's Instagram and it's like the same color toning and it's like the same type of lighting, you see the same backdrops, it's over and over and over again. If you look back at my work, you're gonna see that. This is something over the last year I've really been trying to break out of. And for this is all about doing something that's creative on the spot, that's little planning beforehand, and it's just really kind of like that stream of consciousness when it comes to like the creative aspect of it.
I get that.
So with the project, what I would like to do is go back and have all 33 members of the project. We're going to send them a project exclusive magazine. It's not like a magazine, almost kind of like your coffee table book here. So a little bit nicer, something that you're going to be proud to put on your coffee table. And the idea is that you're going to be a part of 32 other women that did this really special project, something that's unique, something that I'll tell you, I don't think Beaufort's ever seen anything like what we've been doing before. So. I'll have to show you some pictures of what we did today right afterwards. But, something that is just going to be really, really cool. And of course, too, something I can look back on and, say that I organized it. I got some other plans too. If you know anyone with like a gallery, something like a gala kind of gallery type of thing, I think that would be kind of cool. Where we have everyone from the project come out, get dressed to the tens, and we show off like what we did at the project. Have some hors d'oeuvres, that kind of thing. I like that. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing for the project that's going to come later on, in the year. But for right now, we got to get to 33, and it has to be by the end of May.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. How many? So. What's tomorrow's Friday? How many shoots you got tomorrow?
I have 1 tomorrow. Yeah, I got 1 tomorrow. And so this week we'll just have 3, but next week it's every day, Monday through Friday, 2 a day. Okay. And so next week just check in with me, make sure I'm okay.
I will. If your Instagram stories start dwindling down, then I know something's wrong.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Man, Instagram stories. Yeah, I've been trying to keep up with those. And I actually had somebody, they reached out to me because there was like a couple days that I didn't post anything. Right. And they're like, "You've been busy in the studio?" I'm like, "No, I'm taking a break, dog."
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And you have, like you said, you have to. It's tough. I typically work 7 days, but one of those 7 days, like if we have a church stream, we stream for the church every Sunday. Sometimes it's easier to get my employee off that day because it's all we have. Yeah. I'm not going to burn him 8 hours just for a 2-hour deal that I could do. Right. So we'll do that, and I'll go home. But I don't need. My kids are grown. I have a 29 and a 21-year-old. Gotcha. So I don't have, if I spend time with my wife, she's good. She'll go upstairs at a certain time and read and color, and then I can watch my TV shows or play. You just got a PS5.
I did.
I've got one Christmas about a year and a half ago. So I'll play that for a little bit as well. But I found, I'm 51, I'll be 52 in October, that I don't need, if I have a full day off, I feel guilty for not working because I have such a busy workload. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. Because I've got obligations for so many people that there's always something on the back burner. So I have a guilt feeling that if I'm not working, or the next day I'll get up at 5:30 or 6 to get caught up on what I didn't do the night before. I'm not saying by any means anybody should follow that workload. It's not the best. And I put myself in a position to where it's tough to take time off. Like when I go out of town for a week, then Anthony is obligated to cover whatever we have. Yeah. We try not to schedule big things during that time, but obligations with the city, with the town, or with the chamber, they're going to happen. I can't tell someone they can't have a ribbon cutting because I'm not here. Yeah. So we work around that schedule. But how you have one kid, 2 kids?
2. Yeah. 9 and 7.
9 and 7. Both girls?
A girl and then son.
Okay. Yep. I saw your daughter with the cat over testing the photo stuff. So what are your kids' names?
Olivia Kate and Finn.
That's right. Yeah, we had talked about that at the when we ran into you at the BTR. What's it like being a dad?
Man, it is not what I thought it would be. Right. It is way harder.
Yep.
It is way more stressful.
Yep.
It's like the person. First of all, my daughter is obviously redheaded.
Yeah.
She has a personality and attitude to match. You know, I love my daughter. Don't get me wrong, but man, her and I, we find each other. We're like looking at each other and just like, oh man, we gotta figure out some common ground real quick. You know what I mean? And man, she's in jiu-jitsu too. So
better watch out.
Better watch out. Yeah. But yeah, man, being a dad is tough. It's like.
There's no books.
There's no books.
I mean, there are probably some parenting books, but I mean, it's really.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah, but for the most part, I wasn't reading a parenting book on how to be a parent. You just kind of wing it with the first one, and then the second one you make your corrections, and mine are 8 years apart, so I had about an 8-year span to learn with my son, and when my daughter came along, it was a little bit different.
Yeah, it's weird. There are books, but you have to go out and buy them.
That's the whole thing.
And there's 1,000 of them, and you have to pick one, and then you have to stick to it.
Yeah.
But
is there what to expect when being a parent? I know there's what to expect when expecting. That's
what happens after you're done expecting, and it's here.
And it's here. Yeah. What now? then they those levels and age groups.
For me, I think the hardest part about being a dad now is looking back and seeing the way that I was raised and changing all the things that were not okay, or where I'm like, okay, I grew up and I was raised this way, but now I don't agree with this. And, you're so ingrained in like this way of raising a kid and shaping them, but some of the stuff is not right. And I think everyone can agree that in some way when they were growing up, something was not right.
100%.
Right. And so getting out of that mold and doing it the right way, or a way that you think is better, or the right way, I think that is like the hardest part, because you look at how you were raised and you're like, well, I turned out all right. And well, maybe not.
In my head, I turned out all right.
Right. Yeah. From the outside perspective, there's some things that should have went differently. And I think kind of breaking out of that mold to do it the right way or a better way is like the hardest part. But I think for the longest time, I was never even giving myself credit for trying to break out of the mold and trying to do it the better way. And I think that is, like the right way to be doing things. I think there's always going to be like some way I'm messing up my kids.
For sure.
I think we're all going to be in therapy eventually, but like I think that just that attempt to make things better for them is good.
Yeah, and go on a self tangent, but growing up in the 70s and early 80s is definitely a different time than you're born in 91
Yep.
Year I graduated.
We don't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about that. You know what I mean? So, and my son was born in 95, so roughly the same. Not, So I get, do you turn to social media for parenting tips, or do you watch the struggle with, I say the struggle, and I use that term loosely. Do you relate with other social influencers from a parenting standpoint, I guess?
Yes and no. I have to, for me personally, I have to be really careful about what I'm listening to and paying attention to and following. I found after 33 years of being on Earth that I am kind of gullible in some ways, to where I'll get some kind of advice or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I never thought about that. That's good. And then I'll do it, and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? Right? Like, wow, it's terrible. I should have thought about that a little bit. And so I found that there are some social media. There's this one guy, I don't even know his name, but he does this thing's like Do Better or something like that. But he's a parenting guy. Yeah. And I found some of his stuff to be really insightful. Yeah. And I one of the things that I grew up, sorry mom and dad, but we're getting real. One of the things was like taking someone's door like off of there, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a parent to do
My
that.
wife dealt with that.
And so and that something like that you don't realize that is a bad thing until someone comes in and he's like, hey dude, that's not good.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that.
Yeah.
And so I like some of the stuff that you see online, but then, man, you get somebody with 1 million likes on a video talking about taking the door off and like, this is how you parent. And then you're like, that's weird. That's okay. Let me read the comments. And the first 20 comments are like, that's how you raise them. That's right. And it's just like, it's so weird how just like in real life, social media does the exact same thing where you fall into like this line of people. For sure. And if it's the same line of people that are all talking about the same thing, that doesn't mean it's right or, or truth, right? You're just in a line of a bunch of morons. And that's like, so I do find some people like on social media that will have really good parenting advice. But then at the same time, like, sometimes I've had to take a step back and be like, hold up, this guy is actually an idiot. And he has a bunch of idiots following him. And so I don't think there's any difference between life and social media at all.
No, I don't think so either. It's just brought more to light, and people have an outlet, and all these keyboard warriors and stuff and still doing this shit. So for me back in the day, it was the wooden spoon was a big thing. Corrected that way, so we had a wooden spoon that would get spanked with that, and I use that term. I won't say I was beat. Probably got spanked.
Depends on who you talk to, though. Someone would be like, "Oh man, you were beat," and I'm like, "No, I was just getting a spanking." No, they just took my door off my door. You know what I mean? Like,
go get a switch outside. The switches was a thing. I think at one time my mom had a ring, and a little pop here or there. Crazy life.
We're getting deep over here.
We are,
today.
and I'm not trying to run down this road. Shit that I've never talked about ever. So I kind of wish there was some social media back when I was a young father. Because obviously, when you grow, you become a different person. Who I am now, 29 years ago, was not the same guy, regardless of any scope. So, I kind of wish I was a father now to my kids. I still am, but not in the same sense, right? My daughter's 21, lives with us, but she's a roommate at this point because she works 2 jobs and all this other stuff. But I do wish I had influence, I guess, or eyes of other people and what they were going through at the same time to kind of learn or to see how others had did what they had done. Not that I was a horrible father by any means. I just still worked a lot. I was doing 70 hours a week for Sonic Drive-In for 23 years. You know what I mean? So I've always been the guy that's always worked and put in the effort to do what was right. So I thought. So anyway, completely different topic.
Are you? Is your studio located in a music venue?
It feels like it. So we're right above Jane Richardson's dance studio.
Okay.
And what you hear, I don't know if the audience hears it, but they're
gonna find out.
It sounds like they're clogging downstairs, but they are dancing, and every now and again you hear some music. And I don't have a schedule for them, or I wouldn't have scheduled it tonight. They've been off, I think, for a couple weeks, and then I pull in today, and I'm like, shit, it's gonna get loud.
We're gonna have to do this again. Which is fine with me because I got free beer.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know if it was a music venue. Okay, they're clogging. It sounds like Disturbed is warming up right now, but
I think it's maybe a new crew because they have their sessions, they have their schedule with the dance girls, and they're all young. Yeah. So I used to have a baby gate at the bottom of the stairs to eliminate them from coming up the stairs.
Oh, okay.
But I think they're an older group now. I don't know how they do it, but we just share the space with Jane Richardson, and so.
Well, I don't know who I met downstairs. I should have got her name. She was the sweetest little kid.
Yeah.
I rolled up and I was looking at your door where it said to go up.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting over there and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair." And I was like, "Well, thank you." And then she's just like, "You just remind me of that person off of the Marvel movie." And I was like, "Which one?" She's like, "Thor." And I was like, "I will take it. Yes. I will take it."
Yeah. So let's talk about the hair. Obviously, in the military, you couldn't. So, have you grown your hair once you got out?
Yes. Yeah.
The beard would be for me. 23 years in the restaurant business, no facial hair allowed. I got out in 2014, celebrating 10 years in July. This is from that because I can't do anything here.
I was gonna say if we I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball Z.
No, I don't.
Where they mix 2 people into one. We would have the beard and the hair. We'd be a real man.
We would be. Yeah. I had a little high. How tall are you?
5'8".
Okay. Yeah, I'm 5.
Actually,
5'6".
5'6"?
I think so.
I don't know. I gotta reevaluate that because my makeup artist, she's talking a lot of shit today about being taller than me or something like that. Yeah, I'm like, dude, you are not taller than me. She's like, I'm 5'8". I'm like, dude, I'm 5'8", and I can see over your head. So I'm like, if you're 5'8", I gotta get my license changed.
Yeah, for sure.
So last time I checked, 5'8".
Okay. I 5'6", I would say, but every time. Kelly always tells me, "Oh, you're shrinking." I'm like, "What?" And I know I'm getting older, and that's inevitable. It's gonna happen, but I'm like, "Shit, not right now." I'm only 51.
You got with today's modern medicine, you got 100 years left.
I don't know if I want 100 years. This, know, right? Yeah, no. Give me 40 more, maybe. I'll be okay. Enough for another career, I guess. So your studio's located in Habersham.
Yeah.
Great space, great community. Where can folks find you on social media?
Man, Facebook and Instagram are the two major ones. I do have a TikTok, but I rarely post to there. And I feel really dumb because before TikTok was even a thing, I was on TikTok posting 5 to 6 times a day.
Really?
And I was just cranking them out. And none of them were really good videos, but I was just cranking them out. And then I had posted I'm in a photographer's mastermind with a bunch of pro photographers who get together, do ideas together.
Yeah.
And there's a course too you can take. And I was posting in that group. I was like, hey, you guys should get on TikTok. It's going to be really big, really good. And then everyone's like, I think it's a waste of your time. And I listened to people online, right? And so I stopped posting, and then next thing you know, stuff. And then they started posting. They have hundreds of thousands of followers now, and I think I just hit 3,000.
Oh yeah.
And so, but
they're getting brand deals.
Yeah, they're getting brand deals, and
Adam Rama's doing shit for them, and yeah.
It's all right though. I do not miss posting to TikTok that much. But yeah, Instagram, Boudoir by Mark.
Yeah.
Facebook, Mark Andrew Boudoir.
Okay.
And then I have a Facebook group where I'm fairly active in there.
And what's the group?
Beaufort Boudoir by Mark and Christina.
Is it just for folks to get in and ask questions and just kind of get a feel, or what's the?
Yeah. So the Facebook group is, I think we have 2,800 women in there right now, so it's a women's only group. It's a great way. Some clients of mine will not be comfortable with me sharing their stuff on TikTok or
Understood.
not TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
I get that.
But some of them are like, hey, you can post in the women's only group. I want to show my friends without sending it to them. It's for other people to see, but I don't want someone's husband saying it.
Right,
no problem.
Yeah.
So we'll post in there. But I mean, if you look at my work though too, and this has been really this is back in the day when people would say that. Very rarely do I have a client who doesn't want to share their pictures because my stuff's really not raunchy.
Yeah,
you know?
Is it an elegance to it? It's very.
Most of my clients wear less at the beach, to be honest.
For sure. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
If you look at some of my work, most of it is a bikini plus more.
Right.
So and I get the idea of you don't look like this on the, down by the sands.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think so. The Facebook group is really kind of like a first look to see more behind the scenes.
Okay.
I'll post deals and sales in there first.
Okay.
Like for Project 33, all of those women had first access to it a day before we release it out to the public.
Okay.
Things like that.
Got it. So there's some exclusivity to being part of that group.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's a great place too to get to know us a little bit more because we'll do different Facebook. I haven't done live in a while, but Facebook lives where we'll kind of talk, and that way you can ask me questions, and we'll post some behind the scenes or some exclusive content and everything.
Okay, that's cool.
But
yeah,
and I like running a Facebook group, but I'll be honest, that's also an entire job in itself.
Yeah.
People will hire out the whole thing just so they don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think at one point photographers were really reliant off the Facebook group, but I think the game has changed from that to other things like Instagram, TikTok too.
Yeah.
And I've had people who have found me on TikTok from videos that I've posted 2
really?
years ago.
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, I saw something about some wardrobe thing that you posted, and I clicked on your thing, and now we're here.
Yeah.
And so, and from all over the country, we've had clients come in. Most of my clients are not in Beaufort, believe it or not. Very rarely will I get somebody in Beaufort unless military members. They'll post,
I can see that.
or they'll book a shoot. But the majority of my clients are from Charleston or Savannah or Atlanta, Columbia, Lexington.
Wow.
We've had clients come in from Asheville and Raleigh. We had somebody from Chicago fly down to work with me. So it just kind of depends on where those people are coming from.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for for women when you're looking for a boudoir client or boudoir photographer, that you're finding someone that you are going to trust, whose work you like. First, I mean, let's be real. If the work sucks, don't even talk to them, right? They could be your best friend, but if the work sucks, the work sucks. Yeah. And let's be real, your self-esteem is on the line.
100%. You know? Yeah, the worst thing you want is to be vulnerable and do that, and then they turn out like shit.
Exactly.
And then you're twice as affected by that.
Absolutely. And so, you know, finding someone whose work that you love, and then finding someone who is legit by looking at their social media posts, their website, reviews, all of that kind of stuff is such a huge way to find somebody who's, you know, not some guy in his basement taking pictures of you.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, and so, yeah, I think that, you know, with the social media and everything, that's a great way to do it. And so I try to be more on Instagram is great too, because you can post on there and then it'll like automatically post to Facebook.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that way you don't have to do both at the same time, which is great too.
But. Yeah, perfect. So besides Project 33, you got some stuff in the future. So everybody, go follow Mark on all the channels. Anything else you wanted to touch on, or you think we didn't talk about?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
This is great. Thanks for having me.
All good, dude. It's my pleasure. I appreciate you coming in.
I can't believe it's already been 45 minutes.
I know. I do want to, but we have you back on and we talk photography and gear and things like that, just from my standpoint, because I always like to learn.
Yeah, this was the childhood trauma episode.
Apparently.
Next episode, we'll talk about the stuff you actually want to hear.
Jeez, yeah. Sorry, everybody. Well, I appreciate you coming in. It's been a blast. Thanks, everybody.